You knew I needed. You knew I needed.
I don't remember, but did Wawani win any countdown awards?
No, we were nominated.
I remember you were nominated, yeah.
No, we never got anything because we were never, you know, there's a real boys club clique in the Australian music scene and we were never a part of that. Because we were just outside and, you know. That's cool.
Cool. And when you used to make like 12-inch versions and stuff, did you used to like go in and just play the extra bits for it?
Generally what they do when they do a 12-inch was that they'd amass stuff that hadn't, you wouldn't actually play that version.
Yeah.
They just cut it and cut it. And I remember the 12-inch for Stimulation.
It's great.
Well, I remember that actually is really good.
I like the bit in it when Paul raises the hey, yeah.
There's some really cool stuff in it, yeah. But
yeah.
I remember going into the studio and this, I'd never seen this before. But Jim Tagg, who was our producer, engineer, he's re-recorded Stimulation onto another 2-inch master tape, and then proceeded to start cutting it up with the scissors, literally. And I'm just.
Wow.
The guy gone like nuts or something, you know, he's literally, and then sticking it back together with one of those splicing machines that they used to use to do film editing.
So is that how you did the 12?
That's how he did it, yeah. He literally copied parts, cut them together, stuck them back together with tape.
Very interesting.
It was really an art.
Because you didn't have the technology.
The technology did not exist, right? And then...
Is that how everyone did it?
That's how it was done, yeah. And that's how tape editing was done. A tape editor's job was to do that. They'd have like a little block, they'd cut it with a razor, they'd stick it back together. It was quite amazing to watch. But then when I Could Make You Love Me, which is only maybe, I don't know,
I love the 12 inch for that too.
2 or 3 months later, they got this new machine and this fantastic digital console.
Was it a Fairlight or something?
No, it wasn't a Fairlight, but it enabled them to do the same thing without tape. Oh. And you know, like for instance, in I Could Make You Love Me, there's that. No, there's the 2/4 bar where it goes. Choo, choo.
Yeah.
That was actually a mistake. The guy was editing a bit out.
And it sounds good.
No, he left one beat in, and we went, it's kind of cool. Put another one in. So he copied it, and that's actually just the tape edit.
So from then onwards, you didn't have to do the coming up.
I never saw that again.
So do you think a show kind of like Countdown could work in 2010, or do you think it's pretty much?
I don't know. I think a lot of Countdown came out of Molly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
He's such a personality, and you know the thing with Molly is he's so into music. You know, whereas I reckon a lot of guys now on shows,
it's just like a job.
It's just they just want to get a better career happening.
Yeah.
And are they crazy about music like Molly was?
No.
Probably not.
Yeah.
So you know, if you take the passion out of it, what's there?
Yeah.
I was saying before, do you remember when Molly ripped up Ram magazine? Yeah. That was the whole kerfuffle which went on for ages.
Well, I remember when the press used to attack like bands like you guys or Real Life or even Sinaweko.
Yeah.
He would really full on like...
He'd go nuts.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, he was really into it.
Yeah.
But you know that thing with Molly ripping up the mag, we'd be on tour and we'd get Ram each week.
Yeah.
And you know, this week it'd be like 30 letters saying, well, I need, they're such wankers and all this sort of stuff. Right? And then next week, all these letters saying, they're so cool. And every week it'd be the opposite.
Yeah.
It made fascinating reading.
I guess even around that period, like you'd have your in Australia, you'd have your people into the dance music, then you'd have your typical people just into the pub thing.
Yeah.
And I guess sometimes like it took like some people would see bands like you as just a pop band, but then if you go see them live,
Absolutely.
it'd be a whole different story. It'd
Absolutely.
be like, well, these guys can actually play.
Well, absolutely. There's a classic story where one of the dudes from Sony, who was a really lovely guy, I won't mention him because I don't want to get him in trouble, but a guy came up to Paul Gray, and they were out like having lunch or something, and the guy said, you really suck, man, like, your band's like terrible, you know, the whole deal, right? And we used to get a bit of that.
Yeah.
And Paul probably was like, whatever, right, who cares what you think, and the Sony dude, CBS at the time, got up, said to the guy, but have you seen them live? And fully decked him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, cool. And we were like, no, you know, you probably shouldn't do that. Yeah, but he decked him with his hat. But it became like, this is a famous catchphrase, but have you seen him live?
But I mean, even like in your performances when you were miming, like you could tell that you would be good likers, that even the energy, I mean, I remember on the final Countdown Awards, you guys did Sugar Free.
That's right.
In Sydney.
Yeah.
And even by that, you could tell just the energy on stage, the way that Paul danced, etc., that you guys would be...
No, it was a killer live band, and that's a little bit the frustration I've got with that whole thing, is that it was sort of never really captured, the band. The records are good, but I don't think they capture that excitement and spirit.
Because I actually remember when you were split up with Ross, I was thinking, Ross, they're in trouble.
They were in huge trouble.
Because
at that point,
the whole place went
they went
nuts.
I
I remember it was full on.
Yeah. No, it was.
Yeah.
You know, it was a pretty good band at that point. Before the rot set in. But a lot of bad stuff started happening. Like Phil, our keyboard player, died. Remember that? The keyboard player, he got cancer and he died. He was really young. I mean, he was probably only in his early 30s. And when that happened, I don't know, it just sort of, it was never quite the same.
Okay.
And then it all became, you know, meetings about stupid stuff. And but
Well,
prior to that, we were on such a roll, and that's like when you saw us with Ross and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay, because unfortunately most bands in the 80s, I find a lot of the management took over after the 3-year period and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's
and
right. And try
it
to
usually
milk it.
causes a rift in the band.
Yeah. Oh, we had huge management problems, you know, basically from the start to end.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who were your management?
Originally we were self-managed, then we took on this company called, my memory's not great, but I think it was Sweet Conspiracy, which is a very appropriate name. Right. And then eventually we got taken on by Simon Napier Bell, who was Wham's manager. He'd also managed T-Rex, the Yardbirds, a lot of really big fame for Japan.
Really?
Yeah, he was and he did really cool stuff for us. So if we
That's a pretty good manager to have.
yeah, he was awesome. But he came out to meet us.
So he was obviously British.
Yeah, he's a London-based dude, and he came out to meet us. And I remember having dinner with him, and he's telling me about Mark Bolan coming to his house.
Was this after the first album, or?
Yeah, this was probably like, I don't know, before Blush, way before Blush came out, but after the success of the first album. Yeah, and we had a guy called Chris Gilby involved who was really awesome and a really creative guy. He was our publisher, but he sort of took on management for Australia.
Did you play guitar like for any other bands with session work or anything?
Yeah, I did play on a few things, and I played on heaps of ads and things and a few soundtracks. And when I lived in Sydney, I used to actually do quite a lot of that.
Okay.
And I've done lots of musical theatre, you know, playing cricket bands and stuff.
So at the moment, you're doing gigs in Melbourne?
Yeah, with Zap Boys.
Yes. And are you doing that all around Australia?
Yeah, we were in Perth last weekend.
Okay, and how does that go down?
Huge.
Oh, cool.
Huge. It's a killer band. I mean, we're...
And does anyone recognise you as
Yeah,
a
a little bit. Sometimes. I try not to advertise it too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. And besides that, what else are you doing musically? Anything else?
I'm always just, that's all I do.
Yeah, cool.
It's the only
You
thing.
teach guitar too?
I teach guitar, yeah. I had like 90 students a week for quite a long time.
90 students a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've scaled that back because it was killing me.
That's big.
Yeah, it's quite a lot, but you know, one has to make money.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
And I play in bands and, you know, do the Zap Boys thing, which is really great. The singer in Zap Boys is incredible, Vince Condarino.
And how did that band come together?
When I was towards the end of Lawani, I did a tour and single with the Party Boys.
Yes,
Party
I remember
Boys,
they
yeah.
did He's Gonna Sip on You again.
Yeah.
He's Jimmy Barnes' brother.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Swanee,
that's
yeah,
right.
that's
So
right.
I did a tour with
Yeah.
them, and Vince, who's the singer in Zap Boys, was the singer in that lineup.
Okay.
So we, you know, I mean, the guy is incredible. He's a world-class singer. And I remember going, crikey, who's this guy? Where, you know. I remember Paul Christie, the manager from Party Boys, ringing me and saying, I found this guy in Adelaide, he's the best singer in the world.
Okay.
And he kind of is.
Okay. So you did gigs with
This was
the
Party Boys. This was Party Boys, yeah. And then that was in about maybe 90.
So Party Boys are still going in 1990?
Yeah.
Okay.
This was probably towards the end of Party Boys.
Because I remember them in like 87, 88.
Yeah, because the lineup always changed.
Yeah.
And then Vince, I got to know Vince through that, and then I hadn't seen him for decades, literally, and I'd been living in Europe. I moved back to Adelaide. My mum was living there, so I moved there to sort of hang out there a bit. And I ran into Vince. And then we were like, hey man, let's get some gigs.
So this was over the past, say,
This was about 2001,
2001.
maybe 2002.
So have you been doing this band since then?
No, him and I started doing gigs together,
Oh, right.
just the two of us,
Yeah.
and we were very successful. We like millions of gigs, and everyone loves it. And probably about 3 or 4 years ago, he asked me to join. And I'd never really been in like a covers band before, but because it's not like an ordinary covers band. It's really Vince. He's so incredible.
Okay.
Come and see it tomorrow.
So he puts on like a real show, basically.
He's incredible. And
So all
we
of-
don't pretend to be Led Zeppelin or